Okay, so for today's class we're gonna need a pillow, quite a big pillow, because we're gonna try and do the crow halfway down the class, and then you just need a block that can support you when you're sitting on it, and also that you can use to sort of lean on if we're doing any of the balancing poses. That's all we need today, okay? So grab hold of a pillow. If you're finding that some of the moves are a little bit too advanced for you, then always make sure you've got a chair next to you so that you can use the chair to lean onto when you're folding forward or when you're sort of doing some of the balancing poses, okay? So we're just gonna wait a couple of minutes for everybody to join in, and then we're gonna start the class. If you've got any questions, please do ask now, and then make sure that you pin me in. So if you're new to the class, the way to get me into the big screen is to click on my image, which is Olga, and then you go into the bottom left corner of my image. There's 3 dots. You're clicking on those 3 dots, and then you're pinning me in. So you're clicking on the pin, and then I should come up on the big image, okay? If at any point there's a problem with the connection, just come up with the video so that I can see visually that there's something not right, and I'll see if I can correct it from my side, okay? So start sitting on the block while we're waiting to start. And then sit on the block so that half of your bum is on the block and half of it is sort of falling onto the front, okay? And then just cross your legs in front of you. For me to have the most balanced pose, I basically place one foot as close as I can towards my groin and then the other one in front. And I find that this is the most comfortable for me, but you need to find what's comfortable for you. And eventually this is the pose that you're gonna do if you're starting to do meditation. And when you're doing meditation and you're doing it for long periods of time, whatever position you're going to be in is going to start to get uncomfortable, but try to be as comfortable as you can, okay? All right, so let's get started, and then whoever joins in can join wherever we are. So sit on the block. Half of your bum is on the block, half of it is falling forward. I still have my sitting bones on the block, but they are really at the edge of the block, okay? So then you can start sitting upright and have this triangle pose where you're feeling quite stable. So now we're gonna concentrate onto the core muscle. So for today, try to focus all the time on the core muscle and try to have every pose that you're doing that you're feeling that you're engaging the core, okay? In order for you to engage the core, you need to basically activate 3 bandhas, which is 3 locks in the spine. You've got the pelvic floor, and to engage that you need to clench your bum hole, and then to engage the Uddiyana Bandha, you're basically trying to bring the belly button towards the spine. So you're basically doing a pulling and tucking of the sort of lower part of the abdomen. Then open the chest and tuck the chin under, where you're feeling a slight contraction of the back of the throat. So that means that your spine is upright. Now place your hands wherever they're comfortable on the thighs. Close your eyes for a second. Keep on working on the core muscles. And now you're starting to add the breath to it. So you're inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. And you're breathing through the nose only. If you're familiar with the Ujjayi breathing, which is the breathing that you're bringing the breath at the back of the throat, so you're starting to create the ocean sounds, then you can do the Ujjayi breathing. Otherwise, just breathing to the count of 5, inhaling and exhaling is absolutely fine. And now interlace the fingers in front of you, looking at your hands, stretching the arms right in front of you. On the next inhale, you're pushing the palms away from you, straighten the arms. On the exhale, you're bringing your arms up towards the ceiling. Now watch what happens to your belly. So suck the belly in, re-engage the core, roll the shoulders back, and squeeze the shoulder blades together as you're pushing the palms as fast as you can up towards the ceiling. Feeling the stretch onto the upper part of the back and onto the sides of the body. And then on the next inhale, keep your left hand up towards the ceiling, right hand down towards the floor. Inhale, lengthen the left side. Exhale, lean towards your right, bending the right elbow, looking down towards your left armpit. And then on the next inhale, come back to the center, left hand by the block, right hand up towards the ceiling. Inhale, lengthen the right side. Exhale, lean towards your left, bending the left elbow, looking down towards your right armpit. Keeping your right arm as straight as you can. Really sitting down on your sitting bones, so you're basically stretching the right side of the body. And on the next inhale, come back to the center. Right hand behind you, left hand over the right knee. Inhale, suck the belly in, lengthen the spine. Exhale, twist towards your right, chin parallel to the floor, and you're looking towards your right shoulder. Inhale into the count of 5, exhale into the count of 5. So still work on the core muscles, using the arms to twist towards your side. So we're starting to loosen up the upper part of the back. On the next inhale, come back to the center. On the exhale, left hand behind you, right hand over the left knee. Inhale, suck the belly in, lengthen the spine. Exhale, twist towards your left, chin parallel to the floor, and you're looking towards your left shoulder. On the inhale, you're lengthening the spine. On the exhale, you're twisting towards your left. And on the next inhale, come back to the center. Let go of the block and make sure that you're placing it somewhere where you can grab it easily during the class. Come on your fours. So you're on your hands and knees. The hands are directly underneath the shoulders, shoulder width apart. The knees are directly underneath the hips, hip width apart, top of the feet on the mat. On the next inhale, you're looking forward, curve the back towards the floor, push the bum out. On the exhale, you're curving the back towards the ceiling, pushing the bum towards your hands, looking down towards your knees. Inhale, look forward, curve the back towards the floor, push the bum out. Exhale, curve the back towards the ceiling, push the bum towards your hands, looking down towards your knees, contracting the abdominals. Do it 2 more times, following your breath. And then on the next inhale, you're coming back into a neutral position. On the exhale, you're tucking the toes under and you're pushing your bum up, looking down towards your feet. On the inhale, you're bending the right knee, transferring the weight onto the left leg. On the exhale, you're bending the left knee, transferring the weight onto the right. So no sudden movements, very nice and slow, starting to really open up the back of the legs. Keeping on looking down towards your feet so your neck is nice and long. Last one here. Breathing in, bending one leg, breathing out, bending the other leg. And then on the next inhale, you're looking towards your hands, bend the knees, start walking your feet towards your hands. Once you've reached the hands, keep your feet hip width apart. Grab hold of the opposite elbow. Inhale, look forward, lengthen the spine. Exhale, bend the knees. First, rest the torso on the thighs, letting go of the head. And then if you want, you can start straightening up the legs. But you still want to make sure that you're letting go of the head. So you're pointing the top of the head down towards the floor, nodding your head a couple of times, turning the head right and left. Try not to bounce. Try to get to a point where you're feeling the stretch and then very gently you're lengthening up. And then bring your body towards your right leg and towards your left. So you're swinging from one side to the other, making sure you're still letting go of the head. Lengthening the back of your neck. And then on the next inhale, come back into the center, let go of the hands on the mat, tuck your chin under, bend the knees if the legs were straight, and exhale, you're coming up into a standing position, head last to come up. Come to the top of the mat, we're doing the mountain pose, and then I'm going to read you the disclaimer. Come to the top of the mat with the big toes touching, the heels can be slightly apart. And then you're distributing the weight into the middle of the feet, spreading the toes as much as you can, pulling the kneecaps up. We're re-engaging that lower banda by tilting the pelvis under. As you're tilting the pelvis under, you should feel a pull into the lower part of your abdominals. Suck the belly in, Open the chest, tuck the chin under, arms by your sides with the fingers pointing down towards the floor. Try to activate the core muscles and doing a couple of breaths while I read you the disclaimer. So when you're participating in any exercise or exercise program, there is the possibility of injury, of physical injury. If you voluntarily engage in this class, you agree that you do so at your own risk and assume all risk of injury to yourself. Make sure you're in a space where you're not going to knock down stuff, and you need a pillow for this class, and you need a block. Also, you might need a chair if you feel that you're not so good with the balancing poses. Bring your hands in front of your chest, close your eyes, set an intention for today's class, and also resolve that you're going to try to focus as much as you can your breath, your mind on your breath. So you're really trying to sort of do some meditation as well as some exercise today. Open your eyes. We're going to do 3 sun salutations. The first one we're going to do together at a basic level, and then you can carry on at your own pace. Inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, look up at the hands, suck the belly in. Exhale, you're folding forward at the hips, bringing your hands either on the shin, the ankle, or the mat. On the next inhale, press through the hands, look forward, lengthen the spine. Exhale, bend the knees, hands on the mat. Step the right leg out into a lunge, left leg to meet into a high plank. We're setting the plank. You're on your tiptoes, but you're pushing your heels away from you, pulling the kneecaps up. Squeeze the glutes, suck the belly in, shoulders above the wrists, squeezing the shoulder blades together, looking down towards your hands. Exhale, knees to the floor, leading with the chest. You're rubbing the elbows by your rib cage, bringing your chest down to the floor. Top of the feet on the mat, hands underneath the shoulders. On the next inhale, peel the chest off the floor, roll the shoulders away from you, look forward. Exhale, tuck your toes under, come into your hands and knees. Bring the seat towards your heels and you're coming up into a downward dog. Stepping your feet forward and keeping your feet hip-width apart so that you can bring your heels down towards the floor. You're aiming to keep your legs as straight as you can while you're bringing the heels down to the floor. If you're finding that you're struggling here, try not to have your legs trembling. So bend the knees, push the bum up, and then slowly straighten the legs as much as you can. Inhale into the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5. Looking down towards your feet so your neck is nice and long. Last breath here. Inhale into the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5. On the next inhale, you're looking towards your hands. Bend the knees and start walking your feet towards your hands. Once you've reached your hands, keep your feet together. Exhale, you're folding forward, letting go of the head. On the next inhale, press through the hands, look forward, lengthen the spine. Bring your hands up towards the ceiling and exhale, hands by your sides. Okay, just look at me because the last few weeks I've been trying to focus on the plank. First, look at me before we do the second ones. When you're doing the plank, you're trying to bring the shoulders above the wrist, and I'm basically squeezing the bum and tilting the pelvis under slightly, okay? So you're not here and you're not here. And when you're coming down, if you want to do the lower plank, you're trying to push your chest forward. So when you're coming forward, the shoulders are not here, they're pointing forward. So you're pushing the pelvis forward and you're looking forward. So when you're coming down, you're here, not here, okay? So, second, sun salutations. Inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, press through the hands, look forward. Exhale, hands on the mat, either step or jump into a high plank. Set the plank. Push the pelvis under, squeeze the glutes. And then on the next inhale, at a low plank or knees to the floor. Now on the next inhale, push the body through the hands, straighten the arms, up dog, roll the shoulders away from you, look forward. Exhale, tuck your toes under, downward dog. Stepping your feet forward, lowering the heels, setting the legs as you did the first one. If your feet are touching the floor, then pull the kneecaps up so you're engaging the front of the thighs. Tilt your pelvis under. And then concentrate on the upper torso. Wrists in line with the top of the mat, fingers nice and spread.
Roll your shoulders back, squeeze your shoulder blades together, pushing your body towards the torso. So you're pressing on the hands and you're pushing your hands away from you, trying to create an inverted V. Last breath here. Inhale to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, you're looking forward. If you want to jump to the top of the mat, you're coming on your tiptoes, bending the knees, and as you're inhaling, you're squeezing the thighs together, looking where you want to land. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, engage the core, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands by your sides. Last one. Inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, press through the hands, look forward. Exhale, hands on the mat, either step or jump into a high plank. Inhale, set the plank. Exhale, at a low plank or knees to the floor. Inhale, up dog. And exhale, down dog. Reconnect with the breath. So now bring all the elements together to the downward dog. And then lengthen the breath. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. Tilt the pelvis under so you're protecting your lower back and you're engaging that lower banda. So even in this position, you want to have your core muscle engaged. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, you're looking towards your hands at a step or jump to the top of the mat. And exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, engage the core, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. And exhale, hands by your sides. Okay, so have your block, place it on the outside of the left foot. Hands on the hips, feet together. You're stepping with the right foot 2/3 of the mat. Turning the toes towards the top left, right corner of the mat. The right leg is straight, the heel is on the floor. On the next inhale, bend the front leg. 3 options here. Either you're placing your forearm just above the left knee, and then you're turning the torso towards your right, bringing your arm all the way around. Or you're bringing your hand on the outside of the left foot on the block, or you also can put it directly onto the mat. Now, the thing is, you need to be able to turn the torso towards your right. If when you're down here, you cannot turn the torso, come up. And then as you're turning the torso towards your right, bring your right arm all the way around so that the palm is facing down, and you're creating one long line between your right hand and the right foot. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. You're placing 60% of the weight into the front leg and 40% on the back. So you still should be able to stand to keep preserve the pose even if you're lifting the left hand off the floor. Turning the torso on the inhale, lengthening the spine on the exhale. Basically, you're either turning further or you're looking towards your right hand or towards the ceiling. On the next inhale, look down towards the floor. Exhale, bring your hands parallel to the floor. Inhale, hands on the hips, and exhale, you're stepping to the front of the mat. If you use the block, place it on the outside of the right foot. Hands on the hips. On the next inhale, step with the foot 2/3 of the mat, turning the toes towards the top left corner of the mat. On the next inhale, bend the front leg and either the forearm just above the right knee or the hand on the outside of the right foot, left hand on the hip. On the next inhale, turn the torso towards your left. Exhale, bring your arm all the way around. You're either looking towards your left armpit, that's the safest thing for your neck, or you're looking straight ahead or towards the ceiling or towards your right hand. Looking towards your right hand, the left hand, is the most complex for the neck. On the inhale, you're lengthening the spine, suck the belly in, and on the exhale, turn the torso towards your left. Again, you still should be able to maintain the pose by lifting your right hand off the floor, okay? Inhaling to the count of 5, suck the belly in, engage the core. Exhale, turn the torso towards your left. Last breath here, inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, look down towards the floor. Exhale, bring your hands parallel to the floor.
Inhale, hands on the hips, and exhale, you step into the front of the mat. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. And grab hold of the block with your left hand. If you don't have a block, use a book that is about an A4 size paper, and you're holding it by where it opens, so the binding is basically the one that you're leaning onto. Hand on the right hip, and you're just very gently stepping back with your right foot. You're on the tiptoes of the right foot, and then you're starting to bend the left knee. As you're leaning forward, you're trying to reach the floor with the block. So you can keep the block this way or that way. If you're finding this difficult, you can also use a chair. And then place the block right underneath your shoulder as you're leaning forward. There should be a space between your left hand and your left foot. You're starting to straighten the left leg and to lift your right leg off the floor until it's parallel to the floor. And then on the next inhale, turn the right foot over. So you're stacking one hip on top of the other. If you want, you can bring your right hand up towards the ceiling, and very gently you can start looking up towards your right hand. Feel the core muscle engage. So you're sucking the belly in, engaging the core. Eventually, you don't want to even lean onto the left hand. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. We're not going to stay long in here. On the next inhale, you're looking down towards the floor. Bring your right hand down onto your hip. Bend the left knee and start bringing your right leg down towards the floor. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. Grab hold of the block with your right hand. Hand on the left hip. Step back with your left foot. You're on the tiptoes of the left. You're only just giving yourself some space. You're bending the right knee and you're leaning forward. So you don't want to end up with the block very close to your foot, because then it's very difficult to balance. So as you're bending the right knee, you're leaning forward. And then you're placing the block just underneath the shoulder. So if you can see me, I've got about a block length between the foot and the hand. Lift the left leg off the floor, straighten the right knee. And then on the next inhale, turn the left foot over. So you're stacking the left hip on top of the right. Bring your left hand up towards the ceiling if you want to, palms facing away from you. And then if you want, you can start looking towards your left hand. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, look down towards the floor, hand on the left hip, bend the right knee and bring your left leg down towards the floor as you're coming all the way up. Step into the front of the mat. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. Make sure you'll be able to see me. So if you cannot see me on the big screen, click on my image, which is Olga, and then you're pinning me by clicking on the 3 dots on the bottom left corner of my image, okay? Okay, so come to the top of the mat. We're starting with the feet hip-width apart. And we're stepping with the right foot into a lunge. So you still want to have your right foot further out than the left. And you're on the tiptoes of the right foot, bending the left knee. You're sitting in between the 2 legs. And then on the next inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. Now really work on the core muscle. So you're sucking the belly in, clench that bum hole, opening the chest, rolling the shoulders back. On the next inhale, straighten the front leg. On the exhale, you're bending the front leg as you're keeping that right leg straight. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Straighten the leg, hands on the hips. You're stepping to the front of the mat. We're going to do it on the other side. Hands, feet hip width apart, hands on the hips. You're stepping with the left foot out. And you're on the tiptoes of the left foot, pushing the heel away from you so that you're keeping that left leg straight. Start on the inhale to bend the right leg, sitting between the legs. And on the exhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, rolling the shoulders away from you. Take a second here to just set the core muscle, feeling the stretch onto the front of the left hip. On the next inhale, straighten the front leg. Exhale, bend, keeping your left leg straight. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. So you're pushing the heel away from you to keep the left leg straight. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten, hands on the hips, and you're stepping to the front of the mat. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. And there. Okay, so now we're stepping lengthwise. So with your right foot, you're stepping out into the mat so that you're basically, your feet are facing the long side of the mat. You want to have the edges of the feet facing the sides of the mat with the big toes slightly tucked in, and then you're pushing the weight into the edges of the feet so you're lifting the inside of your arches. On the next inhale, bring your hands parallel to the floor. Exhale, interlace the fingers behind your back. Now roll the shoulders back, squeeze the shoulder blades together. You need to maintain this posture as on the next inhale you're sucking the belly in, opening the chest, and as you exhale you're folding forward, bringing your arms away from the body but still squeezing the shoulder blades together. Letting go of the head so the top of the head is pointing down towards the floor. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. Still make sure that you're still pushing your weights onto the edges of the feet so you're keeping the inside arches nice and off the floor. Last breath here. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, come all the way up, place your hands on the hips. And now on the next inhale, you're folding forward, you're placing your right hand in the middle of your chest. And now you're placing your right hand on the left ankle if you can, or anywhere on top of on the side of the left leg. And then turn the torso towards your left, bring your left hand up towards the ceiling. You're looking either straight ahead or towards your left hand. Looking straight ahead is easier for the neck than looking up towards the ceiling. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. Make sure you're distributing the weight in the middle of the foot so you're not too much on the heels, not too much on the toes. Last breath here. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, left hand on the hip, right hand on the hip, so basically you're squaring the mat, and on the exhale, bend the knees slightly and come all the way up. We're gonna do it the other side. On the next inhale, bend forward, left hand on the floor if you can, and then if you want, place your left hand so you can keep your left hand onto the mat and bring your right hand up towards the ceiling. To get a little bit more of a twist, you bring in your left hand on the outside of the right ankle or anywhere on the outside of the right leg. And then turn the torso towards your right on the inhale. On the exhale, bring your right hand up towards the ceiling. Inhale into the count of 5, looking either straight ahead or towards your right hand. Exhale into the count of 5. One more breath here. Inhale into the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5. On the next inhale, hands on the hips, bend the knees slightly and come all the way up on the exhale. Bringing your heels towards you, toes towards you, heels towards you, and then you're coming to the top of the mat. Okay, come to the top of the mat. We're just gonna work a little bit on the core muscle and we're gonna come into the pigeon pose, okay? So on the next inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, press through the hands, look forward. Exhale, hands on the mat, add a step or jump into a high plank. On the exhale, you're pushing yourself into a downward dog. Starting to walk the feet into the middle of the mat so that the feet are touching each other. On the next inhale, lift your right leg off the floor, and then you're bending the right knee and you're opening the hips towards the right. So you're trying to bring your right foot towards the left glute. Looking down towards your right foot, your foot on the floor, pushing, keeping your arms as straight as you can. On the next inhale, square the hips towards the mat, and then bring your right knee as close as you can towards your right wrist. Touching with the right knee into the mat and bringing the knee into the mat on the edge of the mat. And then you're bringing your right lower leg across the mat, left leg onto the floor. 3 options here. So your right knee should be further out than your right hip, okay? And then you can keep your hands underneath the shoulder, pushing your chest forward, or you can keep your forearms down onto the floor, looking just between your hands, or you can have your forehead onto the floor and your arms forward. Now make sure you're not collapsing onto the right bum cheek. So the right bum cheek should be off the floor. To keep it off the floor, you need to roll slightly onto that lower right leg. So you're rolling forward onto that lower leg, and that right bum cheek is coming off the mat. Just breathe into this area for a few seconds. Nice and long breaths. Really directing the breath into the right glute and the right side of the leg. And then on the next inhale, bring your hands underneath the shoulders. Tuck your left toes under, lift the left leg off the floor and come back into a downward dog. Pedaling your feet a couple of times, bringing your feet together. Now, when we're gonna lift the left leg off the floor, try to keep an even weight into both hands. When you're turning towards your left, the left arm tends to come off. So you need to keep both weights equally onto the arms. On the next inhale, lift the left leg off the floor and then bend the left knee, turning the hips towards your left, making sure that you're still keeping equal weight onto the arms. And then you're trying to bring your left foot towards the right bum cheek, looking down towards your right foot. Inhaling to the count of 5, so you should feel a stretch into the front of your left hip. On the next inhale, square the hips towards the front, and then you're bringing your left knee onto the mat, on the edge of the mat, as close as you can towards your left wrist. And then open that lower leg so it comes across the mat, right leg into the middle of the mat, and then again, add the hands to underneath the shoulders or on your forearms or forehead onto the floor. Roll yourself slightly forward onto that lower leg so that your left bum cheek is off the floor. And breathe into that glute and into the hip and the side of the left leg. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. If you're on your forearms or if you're on your hands, try not to collapse into the shoulders. You're still pushing the chest forward, okay? Last breath here. Inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, hands underneath the shoulders, tuck your right toes under, lift the right leg off the floor, come back into a downward dog, pedaling your feet a couple of times. And then on the next inhale, bring your knees down onto the floor and we're coming into child pose. So you're resting the top of the feet down onto the floor, knees together. You're sitting on your heels and you're resting your forehead down onto the floor with your arms forward. Try to sit as much as you can on your hips. So you're really releasing the lower back. Okay, so we're gonna do a couple of balancing poses on fours and then we're gonna just loosen up the wrist before we go the crow, okay? So you're coming into your hands and knees and making sure that your weight, your shoulders are just above the wrists. Start creating circles. So you want to basically create a little bit of loosening up of the wrist. So first you're creating a circle clockwise and really you want to feel that you're creating a little bit of movement on the wrists and then you're going to do the other direction. And now you're placing your hands that the fingers are facing the sides of the mat and you're going from one direction to the other. And then you're turning the fingers so that they're pointing towards your body and you're sitting back, sort of releasing that part of the wrists. So you can only just, you basically, the more you're leaning back, the more stretch you're gonna get on your wrists. Looking forward, if you want, you can stick your tongue out because this is the lion's pose. And then come back into neutral. First we're going to do a couple of balancing poses. So I'm going to come facing the front so that you can see what I'm doing, okay? So on your fours, you're lifting the right leg off the floor towards the sides. And then you can keep it like this because it's already a challenge, because what we want to do, we want to bring your left arm out, okay? If you bring the left arm out, and then see if you can straighten the right leg. Looking down towards the floor. 3, 2, and 1. Release the hand and the knee down onto the floor. You can lean back for a second, just to release yourself. And we're gonna do it the other side. So you're coming into your hands and knees. First you're lifting the left leg off the floor towards the sides. And then the right arm out. And see if you can straighten the left leg. 3, 2, and 1. Bringing yourself back down. Sitting on your heels. Give yourself a little bit of a release on the wrists. Okay, and now we're going to do the balancing, just lifting the arm and the leg, okay? So, distribute the weight onto the left leg. You're lifting the right leg off the floor. And then you're lifting your left arm. So you're pointing the toes down towards the floor, lifting the arm, looking down towards the mat, sucking the belly in, clenching that right glute. One more breath here, and then release the hand and the knee down. Sit on your heels, release the wrists. So we're trying to strengthen the wrists a little bit before we do the crow, okay? Come back on the hands and knees. Bring your weight onto the right leg. Straighten the left leg. Leg parallel to the floor, toes pointing down. And then you're lifting your right arm up. Suck the belly in. Clench the left glute. And exhale, hand and knee down. Sitting on your heels. First I'm going to show you the crow onto the floor. So if you don't want to do the full pose, you're going to do it 2 or 3 times on the reverse, okay? So I just want you to grasp the concept of the crow while we're doing it on our back. and then we're gonna try and do the real pose, okay? But if you don't feel like doing it, you just do it lying down on the back. So first you can look at me, but you can also come down onto the floor. You're lying onto the floor on your back. If you want to look at me first, do so, okay? So you're bringing your knees out to the side, so your arms are on the inside of the knees, and then you're trying to bring the knees as close as you can towards the armpits, and you're really pushing the knees towards the armpits, okay? Now, the part of the shin has to touch the forearms, okay? So this is the pose. You're bending the wrists almost as if you want to rest your hands on the ceiling. Heels together. And then what you want to do, you want to lift, you want to shorten the space between the pelvis and the rib cage. So you're lifting the bum off the floor and lifting the head up, but chin facing up towards the ceiling. So you're really feeling the tension into your abdomen, okay? So if everybody comes down onto the floor, we're gonna do it together. Open the legs out, bring your arms on the inside of the legs. And then you're trying to connect the knee towards the armpit or towards the outside of the right shoulder, really pressing the knees into the shoulder and resting some part of the shins into the forearms, okay? Bend the wrists as if the hands are on the ceiling, and then lift the bum off the floor. So you're trying to shorten the space between the belly and the rib cage, and you're lifting the head up, pointing the chin up, so you should feel that the lower abdominals are engaged and there is an arch on your back, okay? Now release yourself down. If you want to do the full pose, roll onto your side and you're coming up. If you don't want to do the full pose, you're gonna do the crow like that a couple of times, okay? Now bring the block underneath your heels. Heels are together. And then you want to have your hands as wide as the mat, but you're turning the hands slightly to the sides. So the V that is created between the thumb and the index finger is facing towards the front. So the hands are slightly out to the sides, okay? As wide as the mat. Now you're coming on your tiptoes and you're trying to bring the knees as close as you can towards the outside of the shoulder, but you're really pressing with the knees into the shoulder. And now have a pillow on the front if you want to. When you're coming up, bring your bum up, and then you're shortening that distance between the pelvis and the rib cage. So you're really curving up, engaging the core. You're looking forward. So you're not looking down, you're looking forward. Rock forward and back. Forward and back. So you're playing with this. Press the knees into the armpit, and then if you want, you can see if you can lift one leg up, and then see if you can lift the other one, and then rocking back. When you've had enough, just give yourself a little bit of a rest. So the aim is for you to have this position here. So you're basically clenching the abdominals and creating this posture here, looking forward, okay? So I'm gonna do it one more time and then we're gonna do something else, okay? So hands nice and wide, fingers nice and spread, tiptoes, knees pressed onto the armpits or the outside of the armpits, and then you're rocking back and forward. Looking forward, make sure you look forward. And then if you want, lift one foot off and then the other. And then you can come back, or you can stay a little bit longer. Okay, I think that's enough. Now sit on your heels. We're just gonna give ourselves a little bit of a stretch on the wrists, okay? If you're finding that sitting on the heels is uncomfortable, just bring your legs forward and then straighten the arm. With the other hand, grab the hand and point it down towards the floor. Turn the palms up towards the ceiling. Grab the hand and stretch the fingers down towards the floor. We're gonna do it on the other side, palms facing down, bring the fingers down, facing up, bring the fingers down, and then create a prayer position. You're turning the hands down and pushing the wrists up without bringing the shoulders up, okay? From bringing the fingers up towards the chin and then down towards the floor. Do it a couple of times so you're rotating the wrists. Make sure there's no tension on the shoulders. Okay, and now sit yourself on the mat, legs forward. We're just gonna fold forward and then we're gonna do the bridge. So legs are forward, remove the flesh away from your buttocks. If you need a block underneath your bum, do so. Point the toes up towards the ceiling, hands either side of the bum, fingers pointing towards the toes. Re-engage with the core, so suck the belly in, clench the bum hole, open the chest, tuck the chin under, reconnect with the breath. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, suck the belly in, engaging the core. On the exhale, you're folding forward at the hips until you feel like your abdominals are starting to go. Relax the hands wherever they're comfortable on the legs. And then on the next inhale, press the knees, the back of the knees down onto the floor, suck the belly in, pulling on your hands, try to bring your torso down towards the floor, tucking your chin under so your neck is nice and long. Inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, come all the way up. Sit in the middle of the mat, bend the knees, place your hands in front of your knees and roll yourself back, hugging your knees to the chest. Tuck your chin under so your neck is nice and long. Really pull the knees towards the chest so you're sort of feeling a release into the front of the hips and your bum is slightly off the floor. And then bring your feet in front of your hips, hip width apart. You should be able to feel some part of the foot. So the feet are as close as you can in front of your bum. Press your hands down onto the floor. We're again tilting the pelvis under, so we're shortening that distance between the pelvis and the rib cage. So as you're tilting the pelvis under, the bum comes off the floor, but you're feeling that the gap between the pelvis and the rib cage is shortening. And then keeping that tilted pelvis, you're pushing the hips up towards the ceiling. Now you can interlace the fingers behind your back, shuffling to the top of your shoulder, tilt the pelvis under, push the hips up, clench the glutes. Looking down towards your belly, your bum. Keep on tilting the pelvis under, almost as if you want to shorten the distance between your pelvis and the rib cage. And then on the next inhale, release the hands. On the exhale, bring your back down one vertebra at a time towards the floor. Hug the knees to the chest. Rotate your knees clockwise. And then you can either repeat what you've just done. If you're struggling with the concept of the pelvis tilting, just don't come up all the way. Just tilt the pelvis under and release it. Tilt the pelvis under and release it. It's quite crucial to get this part. So you just want to basically do this, okay, without doing the whole of the bridge. If you want to do the full wheel, you invert the hands by your ears, pointing the elbows up towards the ceiling, and then on the next inhale, hips off the floor, and you're straightening the arms. To come out of the pose, you're bending the elbows, tucking the chin to the chest, and you're bringing the back of the head down towards the floor.
bringing the back down onto the floor. If you were doing the bridge, start coming back down. Hug the knees to the chest. Rotate the knees counterclockwise, so you're giving yourself a massage in the opposite direction. And then bring the soles of the feet together, bring the knees out to the sides. You can grab hold of the feet and just keep your knees out to the sides. Make sure your head is nice and your head is relaxed, so it's not off the floor. You can use a pillow underneath your head if you want to. And then you can also start bringing the feet up towards the ceiling, so the knees are bent into happy child. Rocking from side to side if you want to. And then bring the knees together. Keep your right knee hugged and release the left leg down onto the floor. Bring your right arm out to the side with the palms facing up towards the ceiling. Your left hand goes onto the side of the right knee and starts to bring the right knee over the left side, looking towards your right hand. Try to keep both shoulders on the floor, feeling the stretch in between the right side of the body, from the glute all the way up to the shoulders. And then come back to the center. Swap the legs over, so you're releasing the right leg down onto the floor. Hug the left knee towards the chest. Left arm out to the side, palms facing up towards the ceiling. Right hand on the side of the leg of the left knee, bringing the left knee down towards the floor, looking towards your left hand. And then come back into the center. Start rocking back and forward until you're coming up into a seated position. And we're going to do a shoulder stand. So if you are on your periods, if you've got any problem with high blood pressure or high blood pressure of the eyes, you're just bringing your legs over the wall and lying there, trying to help the circulation coming back to the heart. If you want to do the shoulder stand by the middle of the floor, just roll yourself onto your back, bringing your legs over your head. If they don't touch the floor, support your lower back, walking your hands up. If they touch the floor, shuffle to the top of your shoulders, support your lower back, and then bring one leg up at a time towards the ceiling, walking your hands up, hips towards you, legs away from you, trying to keep as upright as you can. Looking up towards your feet. 10 breaths here. Making sure the weight is on the arms and not on the throat. And then you can start bringing your legs over your head. If they don't touch the floor, keep on supporting your lower back. If they touch the floor, bring the top of the foot down onto the floor, legs straight, straightening the arms. Yeah. And then you can bend the knees, resting the knees above your forehead, or around your ears. And very gently start rolling yourself back down onto the floor, releasing your legs down. And we're gonna do the fish pose, which is the counter pose. So you want to be on your forearms, palms on the floor. You're sliding the elbows away from the body so that you can puff up the chest and release the top of the head down onto the floor. If the head is not touching the floor, you need to slide the elbows further down, still on your forearms. And then if you want, you can bring your hands up towards the ceiling and lift your legs up. To come out of the pose, tuck your chin under, and then release yourself back down onto the floor into the Shavasana or the corpse pose, where we're going to do a little bit of a relaxation. So lie yourself comfortably. You can wear socks, you can wear an extra t-shirt on. Have your feet as wide as the mat. Lie down onto the floor, tilting your pelvis under, so pretty much all of your back is touching the mat. Roll your shoulders back, palms facing up towards the ceiling, tucking your chin under so your neck is nice and long. And feeling quite comfortable in this position. If you're not comfortable, you can place a pillow underneath your head or a pillow underneath your knees. Otherwise, you can bend the knees so that the feet are on the mat, as wide as the mat, and the knees are touching with each other. So start relaxing the top of the head. And then relax your scalp, so the whole area that is covered by your hair. Going into the ears, relaxing the ears, relaxing your forehead, relaxing your temples, relax your eye sockets, relax your nose, relax your cheeks all the way from the nose into the ears, relax your upper lip, your mouth, and your chin, relax your jaw. And make sure that there's no tension around the mouth and the jaw. Relaxing your chin, the front of the neck and the back of the neck. Relax the top of the shoulders all the way into the shoulder joint. Relaxing the shoulder joint from the top, the front, the armpit and the back of the shoulder. Relaxing your upper arms. Relaxing your elbows, relaxing the forearms, relaxing the wrists and the hands. Just come back into the wrists and just scan with your toes. Just go from one side of the wrist to the other, making sure that you're trying to relax it, because we used it quite a lot today with the crow pose. And now come back to the top of the shoulders. We're gonna go either side of the back, either side of the spine, down the back. Starting from the space in between the shoulder blades, relaxing the shoulder blades, relaxing the middle of the back, relaxing the lower back, coming down into the glutes, and coming under and over your reproductive organs into the pelvic area. Relax your lower abdomen, so the area between the pelvis and the belly button. And relax your upper abdomen, so the area between the belly button and the rib cage. Coming up into the rib cage, into the chest, your breast, your chest bone, all the way up into the clavicles. And now coming into the armpit and going down the sides of the body, relaxing the sides of the body from the armpit all the way down into the waist and into the hips. Relaxing the hip joints, relaxing the front of the thighs and the back of the thighs. Relax your knees, relax the calves, your shins, the ankles and the feet.
Now we're going to do just a little bit of focusing, so quite intense focus. I want you to bring your whole attention into your left thumb. So focus your whole attention into your left hand, but particularly into your left thumb. And see if by focusing your attention there, you start to become more aware of any activities into the left thumb. Maybe you feel an increased circulation, maybe you're feeling a sensation of heat or cold. Just focus your full attention there. And now change your focus into your right knee. Bring your whole attention into your right knee. See if that just focusing your attention into the right knee, you're increasing your awareness there. Perhaps feeling some tingling, perhaps feeling some change in temperature, perhaps becoming more aware of the circulation into that area. And now very gently start bringing your attention to the whole of your body. Take a deep breath in through your nose and sigh out through your mouth. Take a deep breath in through your nose, and as you sigh out through your mouth, start wiggling your fingers. Take a deep breath in through your nose, and as you sigh out through the mouth, start wiggling your toes. And then if you want, you can bring your feet together, your arms over your head. Tense your whole body up first, and then release it. Hugging one knee at a time towards the chest.